types or DeFi as the respondents were.
I would say two things. So where investors really see right now opportunity is in market neutral funds, which are leveraging digital assets. So for example, RE7, I don't know if Evgeny is here, is running one, we are running one. And we are able to generate 15% net per annum with 9 Sharpe ratio, so super low volatility, monthly liquidity, just by providing liquidity into DeFi. And overall, DeFi market is still relatively small, so $200 billion market cap out of $4 trillion overall market cap of crypto. So we are somewhere around 5%. And I think it's never too late to allocate, just like we just discussed, into our industry, because it's high growth. What do you want as an investor? You want to invest into high growth assets which are generating yield, and that's exactly what DeFi is doing. So right now I see most of the interest in DeFi, and of course stablecoins. If I include stablecoins, that's additional $300 billion. So together $500 billion out of a $4 trillion industry.
So before going to talk about stablecoins, what is your view, Riff, in terms of where the capital is going in all this space?
The capital will definitely start flowing into these digital assets because they're going to be more and more digital assets. We all know one of the big narratives right now is RWAs. So we're taking traditional assets and tokenizing them. Why? Because it increases the utility. And when you increase the utility, you increase the return. And so this is the first time you can have somewhat the same risk. Yes, you're introducing counterparty risk with smart contracts and some DeFi risk, but that will be reduced over time. But really the same asset and its return profile is being increased. And that's going to drive more and more assets to be tokenized and more companies that are going to lean in and allocate towards these digital assets. So I think these native digital asset kind of institutional allocators they're going to be much farther ahead than the others. And so everyone has to really lean into this space in order to take advantage of what he just said. Like those returns he's talking about they used to be unheard of, but now because of digital assets, they're going to be more and more common. So I think that is definitely the future. And then all these traditional companies really do need to lean in.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video breakdown, this is going to be a two-part video series. In the first portion of today's video breakdown, we're going to be discussing and talking about some ongoing developments in the DeFi ecosystem surrounding XLM, Stellar, some major announcements that have most recently taken place over the month of November. Depending on when you're watching this, we're recording this on November 19th, but all of these updates are from within the last month. And then the second portion of today's video breakdown, we're going to dive into some ongoing developments via the IOTA Foundation. IOTA is a digital asset that I hardly cover or make content on the CYPRX YouTube, but one nonetheless that I hold in my personal portfolio. And there have been some massive developments in the trade finance ecosystem in regards to ongoing partnerships and major announcements with IOTA. So that is what we're going to discuss in today's video breakdown, but starting off with these gentlemen on the stage at the AIM Summit in Dubai, talking about how yield generation earning upwards of 12 to 15% and how these institutions are going to need to lean in and do exactly that, these asymmetric returns. And over time, yield generation is something that these institutions are going to need to lead in on, and these digital assets provide these capabilities. That leads me over here to this post where I said to you guys back on July 15th, 2024, before we head into some ongoing developments in the XLM DeFi ecosystem, I mentioned last bull market, XLM had no DeFi ecosystem helping boost momentum like ETH did. That is all changed now for the first time ever. You've seen nothing but DeFi developments on Stellar. Buckle up. This ride will be different, utility bull run or not. The DeFi ecosystem alone on these three networks are about to explode in TVL over the next 8 to 12 months. And we've seen exactly that. Take a second and listen to a Tony Edwards Thinking Crypto interview with Danielle Dixon, the CEO of the Stellar Development Foundation, from just 2 weeks ago. Shout out to Tony Edwards for this one in Thinking Crypto's YouTube channel. For this interview, listen to what Danielle Dixon says here about putting your digital assets to work.
A little bit early to the market.
Yeah.
And now you see Red Swan, I think it's hitting the market at exactly the right time. The thing about it is when we think about everyday financial services, it's the ability to put your money in to create capital and to be involved in capitalism in a unique way. And when you think about being able to purchase a fractionalized ownership of real estate, it actually allows your money to grow and to grow through the growth of an asset out there that is in high demand by everyone. So it's really exciting to see that and not to have barriers to entry so that anyone could actually use this. This is what everyday financial services are, and this is what we really like to focus on.
So Danelle, a bit about the tokenization market. It seems the puck is heading where a lot of these traditional assets will be on the blockchain, fractionalized. You'll be able to put them to work in DeFi, and we're going to have almost 24/7 markets, maybe for some assets, not all, but also more of a global reach, more liquidity coming in from different parts of the world. Do you see it that way? And what are some of your expectations maybe by 2030 for the tokenization market?
Yeah, I think that the way we think about Stellar, certainly in 2025, 2026, and beyond, is scalability and usability. And a lot of it is focused around tokenizing these assets and making sure that these assets can be leveraged across all markets. So when you think about they're not all of them are quite ready for the DeFi platforms yet, but they want to be. Not all of them are quite ready to be used for payment mechanisms, but they want to be. And so we need to let a little bit of the policy and the regulatory environment catch up with what this technology can do. But I love that these players are thinking ahead and they're trying to figure out, like, what are the things, like, if you think about paying with stable coins, that's amazing. But if you think about the fact that you can hold a US backed treasury asset and then also make payments with that US backed treasury asset so that the money is sitting there working for you and you get to leverage payments just like a traditional money market fund where you used to be able to write checks from it. It's pretty great. And to make that sort of on a global scale, which is what we're seeing, is also really wonderful. So I think, and then to be able to put them into yield bearing, to put them into pools so that you can generate yield from it, just create so much opportunity for the end user, whether that be a small to medium sized institution or an end user, an individual. So I think.
So you guys heard it directly from Danielle Dixon, putting your digital assets into liquidity pools to start generating yield, lending, borrowing, staking, providing liquidity, yield farming, all of these things in which we go over in the CYPRX Wealth 28 Club in detail, showing you all how we put our digital assets to work. Currently, right now, where I personally house a large portion of my XLM portfolio generating yields on the MetalX lending platform on Loan Protocol. Now, I'm not advertising this platform. I'm not sponsored by them, and I'm not telling you guys to go out there and utilize them. But during this entire pullback, it's not much of an APY, but my entire XLM bag, or at least the amount that I'm willing to expose to this lending protocol, is earning 1.78%. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not worth the risk. But at the end of the day, you're most likely holding through the current pullback that we're currently experiencing and living through. And you likely did not sell the top. You guys heard directly from Danielle Dixon that the goal is to start to generate yield, to put your digital assets to work. And that is exactly what is happening. So taking you guys over here, this was a massive announcement at the beginning of November that I feel like a lot of people overlooked. Now, I said here, DeFi expansion on Stellar just dropped. Stellar users can now put their assets to work. And this was reposted directly from the Stellar Development Foundation. Templar just launched the first Cypher-style lending protocol on Stellar, meaning you can now deposit XLM or other Stellar assets, borrow stablecoins across Stellar, Ethereum, Solana, Near, and more. Do it all from one Stellar wallet, no bridges, no wrapping, no multiple wallets, no nonsense. This is true chain abstraction, powered by the Near tech. We've been saying that the future of XLM is yield generating. And just to show you guys, we said this all the way back in 2024 in July, right? XLM had no DeFi ecosystem before, but in the next 8 to 12 months, we're going to see the DeFi TVL skyrocket. And we've seen exactly that. The DeFi TVL has substantially grown, and we've seen major announcements in the DeFi ecosystem. So, reposted directly from Stellar at the beginning of November 2025. You can see the date there on the 5th. Powered by Near Protocol, MPC network and chain signatures, Templar protocol has now integrated with Stellar, making cross-chain lending and borrowing easy on Stellar. No bridges, no wrapping. So let's read a little bit about this and what this unlocks and take a look at the Templar website. Now, again, I'm not promoting or advertising or telling you guys to go out there and lend your XLM on this protocol. I'm just here to show you guys that these things are ongoing and developing and happening in the now. We here in the Private CYPRX Wealth 28 Club will go out and we will expose our hard-earned XLM on these protocols and record ourselves doing the entire thing, going through the process of onboarding onto these protocols, what wallets connect to these protocols, how much money we're willing to expose to these protocols. So you guys can watch that in real time and learn and educate yourself so that you guys don't have to actually go out there and risk your crypto to dabble on these protocols, and you can just educate yourself in the now, right? Without taking on the risk. So Templar, the first Cypher lending protocol, is launching on Stellar Org to unlock multi-chain XLM and RWA lending. Phenomenal, right? Stellar users can now deposit XLM to borrow USDC on Stellar. You all know what that means? That means you never have to sell your XLM. And if you want to go buy yourself something nice or pay for everyday living expenses and you believe in the long-term upside of XLM, well, now you can just lend it out, borrow USDC against it, take that USDC, deposit it however you need to, or deploy it however you need to in the DeFi ecosystem or in traditional finance by sending it back to your traditional bank account. This integration marks the start of a long-term collaboration with Stellar, with a massive RWA push incoming. Borrowing against Franklin Templeton's Benji Fund, PayPal's PYUSD, Centrifuge assets, and more. Templar unlocks liquidity for Stellar's tokenized assets, solidifying its status as the RWA hub. So huge news here. If we come over to the templarfi.org website, let's just take a look at this real fast. The number one thing that I like on their website before you click launch the app is that it mentions be your own bank. How many times, guys and gals, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. If you've been watching the CYPRX YouTube for some time, for over a year now, we've been screaming this exact phrase at the top of our lungs. We now have the ability to become our own bank. And that is a huge opportunity for people who have been accumulating these utility assets that have thought that they're going to have to sell them for fiat at some point in time in the future and get stuck back in traditional finance. Well, that is no longer the case. Through the utilization of DeFi protocols and really properly educating yourself, we never have to sell our hard-earned digital assets for fiat trash anymore. So this is extremely powerful. Reading this, it says, seamless lending for Stellar. Templar, the first Cypher lending protocol, is excited to launch on the Stellar network. Users can now deposit XLM to borrow stablecoins. We've already read through that. Templar eliminates the need for multiple wallets, ensuring smooth user experiences. This integration provides borrowing, lending, utility on Stellar assets while adding high-quality collateral assets to Templar. Templar extracts blockchains using NEAR's multi-party computation. Down here, it mentions this integration marks the start of a long-term collaboration between Templar and Stellar focused on tokenizing real-world assets and beyond. Stellar has established itself as a leader in the real-world asset space, exemplified by tokenized assets like Franklin Templeton's on-chain U.S. government money market fund, and recent announcements that further reinforce this position, including Centrifuge's $20 million DE RWA deployment, Marketo Bitcoin's $200 million tokenized program, and PayPal's PYUSD launch, along with Ondo's USDY on the network. Templar looks forward to building on this momentum, adding Benji as a borrowing option and exploring additional assets from innovative real-world asset teams like Centrifuge. This unlocks liquidity for tokenized assets on Stellar in a trustless DeFi environment, reinforcing the network's position as a real-world asset hub and expanding the selection of assets available on Templar protocol. This is an important step towards realizing Templar's vision to allow anyone to permissionlessly borrow against any asset on chain. So huge unlocks there. I cannot stress enough. Again, I'm not telling you guys to go out there and utilize this platform, but nonetheless, you should learn all about lending and borrowing with your digital assets so that way you never have to get stuck back in fiat trash. Highly recommend, again, heading over to CYPRXtrading.com, tapping in with us here at the CYPRX 1228 Club so you can learn all about these DeFi primitives and capabilities without actually having to risk your hard-earned capital. So coming over here, the last announcement for the first portion of today's video breakdown. This is more recent, November 18th, 2025. Huge real-world announcement, right? That just goes to show ongoing real-world integration with names of giants that you most likely know. Visa, right? Visa, CYPRX here, and then you can see the Stellar logo with this announcement. Most people, right? Again, I like to show these types of announcements because people that are very skeptical about crypto, like your mom, your pop, your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister, whatever the case may be, most likely have a Visa card in their wallet right now. So they can relate to these mainstream name brands. Well, show them these types of articles and get them to wake up and realize, hello, crypto is not a scam. They're literally sitting here partnering with the largest organizations in the game. However, obviously, of course, these partnerships do not reflect price action in the short term. I firmly believe that none of these bullish catalysts are actually priced into the market yet. And when they are, when the lights turn on, we're going to see price appreciation, market sentiment, and a bull run, the likes of which we've never seen before. All that, in my firm belief, is coming later on down the road. But for now, these just show real-world integration and that these chains like Stellar, are being chosen by mainstream name brands. CYPRX, a global leader in digital payments and principal member of Visa, has announced that dual stablecoin settlement using USDC and EURC on the Stellar blockchain is now live, marking a major milestone in blockchain-powered finance. This rollout in partnership with the Stellar Development Foundation enables on-chain settlement of card payments using USDC and EURC. Stablecoin native settlement is no longer a concept. It's live at scale and delivering real value to users globally, said Pavel Medvedev, co-founder of CYPRX. By partnering with Stellar, we are offering our customers faster, cheaper, and more transparent alternatives to traditional banking rails, all while remaining fully integrated with Visa. CYPRX's principal membership with Visa allows us to fulfill its settlement obligations in USDC and EURC without reliance on any intermediary banks or legacy fiat systems. So even they themselves are transitioning from legacy fiat systems, which is why I believe it's so important that you guys learn again about DeFi so that you yourself can also transition out of this mindset from legacy fiat systems to more digitally native DeFi protocols and primitives. Visa is working with innovative partners like CYPRX to explore new ways that stablecoins and blockchains can enhance the payment experience. CYPRX's use of USDC and EURC on Stellar highlights how on-chain settlement can bring more speed, transparency, and programmability to digital payments, said Soy Sheffield, VP, Head of Crypto at Visa. So this was just a really good announcement to see. That wraps up the first portion of today's video breakdown. If you guys enjoyed, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up and subscribe. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and utilize any of the lending protocols that I mentioned in today's video breakdown. However, if you guys want to see us utilize them in real time with our hard-earned digital assets, so that way you guys don't have to go out there and risk yours, and you want to learn about these protocols, head over to CYPRXtrading.com and tap in with us in the Wealth 28 Club. We'd love to have you on the team. With that being said, I'll see you guys over in part 2 of today's video breakdown.